Hi guys, this was a really difficult video for me to film. I went through a lot of emotions trying to film this one, and even when I filmed it, even when as I'm filming it, I'm not even sure that will I actually post it. Um, I don't like to focus on the negatives whenever I'm talking about healthcare assistant jobs or relocating abroad. I don't know how hot it is. That's what we say in Ndebele. I don't know how hot it is where you are. I don't know how bad things are where you are. I don't know that what we could view as really bad here could actually be better than where you are at the moment. I don't know if that makes sense. So I've had some comments in the comment section, and I've actually deleted those because I didn't want that energy, around my channel. I've had some comments where people have been like, Satini, can you talk about the accommodation crisis that's going on in Ireland at the moment? And I didn't want to talk about it because I'm not an expert in it. And Dublin has always had an accommodation crisis. It has always been very difficult to find accommodation, be it a room, be it an apartment. It's always been very difficult. But in the last couple of months, things have spiraled out of control. We've gone from really bad to really worse. And the cost of living, because of everything that is happening, has drastically increased. So it's at that point where I feel like it's only fair that I sit down and give you the facts that if you do want to relocate, is it the best time to do so? And is Ireland the best place to come to? I just want to address some of those facts. As we address them, I'm just going to be giving facts, and you can also do your Google research about the things that I will talk about, just so that you see that I'm not trying to, change your mind or put down your efforts on relocating. I just want you to have the correct facts, especially if you have children, before you relocate. And like I say, that there's newspaper articles and related to this. If you just Google, you'll find out what I'm talking about as well. Now, the first issue that I want to discuss is the accommodation crisis. So in the last couple of months, and I've gone into Dublin, I've noticed that there's more homeless people than, the normal numbers that are usually there. There's more homeless people. These are Irish homeless people. These are non-Irish homeless people as well. I think that looking at it from a point of privilege, and looking at it that because we have our own home, possibly things were bad for a couple of months, possibly more than a year, things were actually very bad, but we didn't see it because we have our own home, so we didn't really see what exactly was going on. But it has become so difficult to find a place to rent, especially if you're coming from abroad and you need to secure accommodation before you come. It's become an absolute nightmare. I was looking on Daft today. I was looking last week as well, and a landlord will post a property, and I'm not joking, an hour later there's like thousands of views for that property. And if you go for a viewing for that property, there's like 50 people coming to view the property. The estate agent doesn't even care. And there's other people. I remember we were viewing for a friend. There were other people who were there who were like, I can pay more than what you've listed. And there was another guy who was like, I can pay 1 year's rent in advance. And if you're a landlord, it's only logical to take that offer because that's a good tenant. They have their funds in place, than to take a tenant, for example, who's coming from abroad, who has no rental history here in Ireland, doesn't have that large 10 that large 10 months or a year deposit available. So it's when you're viewing a house and you see something like that, you realize that I'm not even on the list. I won't even make it, to even if the landlord, is interested in me renting, even if I have rental history in Ireland. But because somebody else is offering more than what is listed, they are offering a couple of more months deposit, you're just falling off. Like, your chances of getting that property become so low. But this is not even with full apartments or full houses. This is the same with rooms. It's become a nightmare to find a room. Like, it's easier when you know friends who have a room available and they would like to stay with somebody they already know. But if you are contacting a landlord and you're like, hi, I'm looking for an apartment and I'm abroad, or I'm looking for a room and I'm abroad, they don't bother responding, because they're like, why would I put myself through such a headache? And let's say you do find an apartment, let's say you do find a room, the rent prices, I've seen I've seen things on Daft, www.daft.ie is one of the sites where landlords post apartments or rooms for rent. And I have found these, I want to say, safety hazards, for a lack of a better word. I'm like, how is this an apartment? In what universe is this called an apartment? And they're easily going for like 1.3, going up, with no bills. And I'm like, I still have to pay bills on top of this little cubicle. Like, it's just gone totally insane. So there is currently an accommodation crisis. If you're planning to relocate and you do have kids, just bear in mind that you may struggle to find accommodation. I know some employers, like, as I say, that don't let this stop you from applying to come here. If you are in the process of applying to come here for employment, don't let this stop you. Continue with your plans, because your luck may be different. Your employer may be willing to provide accommodation. That's what some employers are doing for some time, because they want to get employers in. Because another thing is that the healthcare industry is still severely understaffed. Like, we have an accommodation crisis, and a lot of migrants coming for employment are in the healthcare sector. They're in nurses, doctors, healthcare assistants, but they cannot find accommodation. And we're now in this limbo where you go to the hospital, you're waiting for 12 hours on end to get a bed. They need staff. They're actively advertising that we need staff or willing, to provide sponsorship, but you cannot get accommodation to come. We're just stuck in this hamster wheel, for lack of a better word. Some counties that are not in Dublin are a little bit better. But I was speaking to a friend of mine who's in Donegal, and she was like, look, it's slim pickings here as well. You may find something to buy, but there's very little available to rent. But in Dublin, finding anything is like looking for a needle in a haystack. I'm not talking about buying at this time, because buying is a whole other monster on its own. I've seen properties sell for more than 100,000 euro than what they were listed for. And because a family is desperate to have their own house, they get into this bidding war, and they're literally paying 100,000 euro more. So that is what I need you to bear in mind if you're going to be looking for accommodation, here. I wasn't going to address this, but I was like, you know what? There's people in the comments who have been asking, let me just address it. Now, the second thing that I want to discuss, not exactly tied to accommodation, but is the cost of living. Now, A friend of mine lives in a 2-bedroom apartment in Dublin, and she doesn't use that much heating and stuff like that. And her bill, I think it was a month back, or granted it was winter, her bill came as €800 for 2 months just for electricity. I'm going to let that sink in. €800 for 2 months worth of electricity. That's €400 a month. She's not using that much electricity. It's a 2-bedroom apartment. How? The government acknowledges that there is a cost of living crisis, and electricity and gas have gone up astronomically, and they're trying to help, but still things are very bad. Now, electricity is not the only bill that you're going to have. Things are not in any way, shape or form better when we come to talking about food. Like, yes, if you're on a budget, you can make it work. Like, I'm an African, I can make it work. But things are so bad. Like, my husband and I, we go shopping, and we're not like shopping in Marks and Spencer or anything like that. We're just at Little Aldi and sometimes Dan's, because I shop online on Dan's and it's easier to save. But we're easily spending 150 to 200 euro a week just on food. Now, touching briefly on childcare, because we have a 9-month-old, and if I want to go back to work, we would need to find a full-time creche, or we would need to find a nanny. The nanny is out of the picture because we cannot afford it. We come to getting childcare. Childcare is around 250 euro a week, maybe more, maybe slightly less, but the average amount is 250 euro a week. That is 1,000 euro a month just for childcare. For a child to go Monday to Friday so that you can go to work. So a large enough portion of your salary is going to childcare. And I'm like, make it make sense. Yes, the government will help with, like, I don't know, 50 euro a week, depending on your salary. For some people, if you're above a certain threshold, it's like 50 euro a week. It doesn't even do that much of a dent into that bill. So that's how things are childcare wise, that if you factor in the childcare, you factor in the cost of living, you factor in the rent that's going up, you're not really left with that much in your pocket. You're just working to pay bills. Now, I'm not gonna say too much. I don't want to drag this and make this a long video. There's lots of articles online that you can read to find out about the accommodation crisis and the cost of living crisis. You can Google and take a look at that. And I'm a bit low. my spirit is a little bit low because it's sad to see people struggle to find shelter. Like, shelter is a basic human need, and it's sad to see people to find shelter. And what makes it even more sad is to see nurses and healthcare assistants, colleagues struggling, working short-staffed because there is not enough staff, but there isn't more staff that can come into the country because they can't find accommodation, or it doesn't make sense financially for them to relocate to Ireland. Or the staff that are there who have families can't come to work, can only work part-time so that they can split the childcare between them and the husband, because they just cannot afford childcare. And now if you're working night shifts and your husband is working day shift, just so you guys can afford being able to go to work, being able to raise your family, what quality of life are you providing for your kids when you and your husband don't even see each other? But I'm gonna wrap this one up here. I would appreciate it if you subscribed if you haven't, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.